What's up, everybody? Welcome to Blue Truth, New York Rangers Talk with me, myself, and I, Brian Attard, episode 14. As we find ourselves 10 games into the season, a lot to talk about for sure. Powered by the Sports Box. Make sure you're checking us out on the main page as well for all of your sports coverage because we're blowing up this week. Want to thank you all for watching. Obviously, feel free to like the show. That helps us get more and more out there as the Facebook algorithm takes over. But I want to get started with clearly the news of the day. It was Henry and Victor. Let's go Rangers. That's right. Just watching those guys over at Review and Preview. They do wonderful yeoman's work over there. But I mean, let's just talk about it. The story of the day clearly is Jack Eichel finally has been traded from the Buffalo Sabres, and it ain't here. He was traded to the Vegas Golden Knights, frankly, for magic beans. He was traded for Alex Tuch, who's injured, Peyton Krebs, who's a prospect, a top 10 protected 1, and a 2. So at long last, the saga of Jack Eichel has come to a close, and he is not a New York Ranger. Vince Mercogliano of USA Today reports that basically Buffalo was either going to kill the Rangers on a deal or it wasn't going to be a Ranger. From all accounts, Buffalo took less to send him west, which frankly is just stupid. But, you know, given what Buffalo has been doing the last couple of months, I would say that probably is par for the course for Buffalo. Quick share here in the Review and Preview group. But before I get into specifically the impact to us, and Kevin even said, I'm sure the Rangers offered more over the summer. Ranger fans drive me nuts, okay? Because all I see in traveling around the interwebs of social media, spreading the good word of the Sports Box and Blue Truth and everything else, is how, oh, you know what? I just noticed something. Don't mind me. My microphone was very far away, so I'm going to bring it much closer. You can probably hear me better now. You get old, you forget these things. Sorry. Anyway, so Ranger fans, we don't want Jack Eichel. He's a locker room cancer. How much time have you spent in the Sabres locker room for you to know that? It felt so much to me like the whole Rick Nash thing, we don't want you, when clearly you did. But why is it a player being a cancer to not want to go through a second rebuild in the prime of their career? Why is it being a cancer for somebody who wants to get the hell out of Buffalo? It's depressing in Buffalo. It snows all the time. It's cold. Why is it being a cancer first and above all else? Why is it being a cancer to want to get the hell away from a franchise that wouldn't let you fix your neck for months and months and months? Tell me why those things make you a cancer. Because all that this is the clear and present overrating of our own players, underrating of everybody else. It's just ridiculous. So many people can't trade this guy, can't trade this guy, can't trade this guy, can't trade picks. And they go off on literally like the entire organization as who they can't get rid of for Jack Eichel. Jack Eichel is a star center in the league, okay? Now, I will tell you something right now. Well, let me get to that. I don't want to get ahead of my thoughts because I want to get there. But you have to remember that all of these prospects can't possibly play here. It's mathematical impossibility. You know who your number one center is. You know who your wingers are. They're signed for a very long time, and some of them have no movement clauses. So unless you're buying them out or unless they're agreeing, then they're here. So you start talking about the D prospects and this and that. And nobody was eligible. You couldn't trade a soul for Jack Eichel. Jack Eichel, a legitimate top 10 center in the game. Oh, he's not going to be the same. I'm sorry. Are you a doctor? Can I please see your medical certificate? Especially with discs and everything else. It was clear. All Ranger fans, they said they want him or they don't, and then they basically just talked about how they're going to get there. If they didn't want him, couldn't trade this guy, couldn't trade that guy, yada, 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 yada. So, here we are. So Jack Eichel is a Vegas Golden Knight. They're going to be a very good team once they figure out their salary cap. And that's the other thing, too. We talk about salary cap. Everybody was saying about how, hey, the Rangers, how they're going to fit under the cap, under the cap, under the cap. I think Vegas is $20 million over the cap at this point. They're going to figure it out. They'll get rid of somebody. They're going to figure it out. We can't ever figure it out, right? If you're sensing a little bit of anger in my voice tonight, it's because I am visibly upset about this. Okay, because there is no way someone's going to convince me the Rangers couldn't beat this offer. In fact, I know the Rangers could have beat this offer because they got nothing. Real quick, I'm getting to the comments, but I just want to talk to John here. Buffalo did good in the trade. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. Alex Tuch is injured, number one. Krebs is a prospect, frankly. I mean, a decent one, but not. We could have given up Vitali Kravtsov, and the pick is top 10 protected. So even if Vegas falls off the map this year because of all the injuries, they ain't getting the pick. So this is like the last time it's going to come up. Well, probably not, but the last time I'm going to bring it up, on purpose. This is today is a mistake for the New York Rangers. If for whatever reason this group doesn't win a championship, this is going to be one of the days that we look back on and say that's probably why, because they had the chance. Mind you, yes, you would have had to overpay, and I understand that. I get it. But they have the system with which to do it, and they can't play all these kids. So he's a Sabre. I mean, he's a Golden Knight. He's not a New York Ranger. Matt DeRosa, we built a prospect pool up for trades just like this. I can't dispute that, and that's true. Are some of them going to play? Yeah, but not all of them. You can only play so many people on a roster. John DeMiana, some will have to go. It's a must, but who? Well, you could have a couple names, and this could have been gone in this deal. Noah Diabler, Sportsbox compadre. So congratulations to your Atlanta Braves, by the way. So thank God for beating the Astros. Yankee fan. So trading for Eichel was too much for the Rangers, but giving 8.5 to an older inferior center is perfectly fine. At least they kept Heel and Kravtsov. It's a joke. No, I know Buffalo was going to bend them over a barrel. I'm not disputing any of that, but there was a way to do this without giving up the guys you don't have to want to give up. There's no one's going to convince me of that. Henry and Dichter. The other problem with hoarding the prospect was eventually becomes a logjam. Absolutely. You got to go big and strike while the iron's hot. Superstars aren't cheap. Absolutely. And Jack Eichel should never have been available. The only reason a player of Jack Eichel's ilk becomes available is because of malfeasance by the front office and the management there. That doesn't happen all the time. Chris Rice said, my issue while the Rangers were pursuing him, will he be the same player after the injury? Well, again, I think that's a gamble worth taking because if he doesn't come back healthy, he doesn't count against your cap. Does that impact the deal you give up? Sure. That's why there was never any realistic conversation of Alexi Lafreniere or Capo Caco or any of those players being involved. It's never going to happen. But again, you can't convince me that this deal was bad. Calgary's deal that was rumored was better than this, which makes me think that maybe that got leaked because they were trying to get something done, But it's frustrating because that they were in the perfect spot to do this, and it didn't work out. That's the frustrating part. Buffalo can go to hell. Period. Their owner, their GM, their front office, don't care. Dead to me. I have no problem with you saying I want to get more. Okay. A deal was there to be made. Period. No one's going to convince me otherwise. Buffalo got screwed, had very little leverage. Absolutely. And the price kept coming down and down and down. Purely because Buffalo can't run a hockey team. Peter, welcome back, brother. This group may very well not win a championship. And odds are that they won't. It's very difficult to do. But I think that if you look back and say, wow, what did we miss all that time? And it was a legit number 2 center, or maybe even a number 1 center, depending how you look at it. So it's frustrating because the chance was there to fill that hole. Krebs can become very good. He can. Maybe. Sure. Maybe. Deep draft this year, too. JE was like a player not even on the team for a long time. Kevin Spacito. So Buchnevich, Kravtsov, and picks was a better deal than Buffalo got today. Yep. Butch and Krav were clearly viewed as not part of this organization. Well, I have some thoughts on that, Kev. We're going to get to that for sure. Deborah, good evening to you as well. Thank you for watching the show. Mario Zippel, let's go Flyers. I think they're losing right now. That's what the Flyers do best. Noah Deibler, thanks, pal. Now listen, championships are what we play the game for, so it's absolutely for sure. John was on the fence about Eichel for a long time. It is a gamble, and Vegas took that gamble, ironically enough. Western Conference Final, the true Stanley Cup Final. Well, West is more top heavy. I will say that. But there are some Eastern teams that can give them a run. Henry Zemanov, Buffalo still have a grim future. Are the Rangers out of cap space? No, I mean, everyone's out of cap space, but you would have figured Rangers aren't on a cap space this year, which we're going to talk about, but you could have made this work and figured it out, because we're going to talk about why you could have made it work in just a second here. Colorado's still in the running with this trade. Well, I will tell you that I think at full speed, Vegas is excellent now. They were missing a center like the Rangers, and now they have that center. Window is the next 3 years, John, I guess, talking about the Rangers here. So I if it were me, which it's not me, that's why I'm here talking to you, but I would have found a way to make this work as long as my 5 untouchables were not in the deal. 10, 13, 23, 24, 31. Everybody else is replaceable. Everybody else is replaceable. So could have gotten done. Ryan Strome, if Ryan Strome is to be brought back, you would have to think that he's looking for a deal in the range of $7 million a year, which is a bump up from the approximate 4.5 he's making now. So the question then becomes, would you rather pay Ryan Strome $7 million a year or Eichel 10? I don't think that's much of a question. I would much rather pay Jack Eichel $10 million. Wouldn't you? I think the other end of this is if Drury knew that they couldn't get there with Buffalo, that Buffalo kept moving the goalpost, that they weren't going to do this and they're not going to do that. Visper Cogliano's article pretty much said every time the Rangers came with something, Buffalo gave them something else to worry about because they didn't really want to send them to New York. But if Drury knew that this was the likely scenario, then why did the New York Rangers trade Pavel Buchnevich to keep cap space open if they knew Buffalo was not going to send Eichel to New York? And the more I thought about it, there's 2 logical explanations for that, and both of which may actually be true simultaneously. Number 1, Chris Drury may really have just wanted Sammy Blais as opposed to wanting to dump Pavel Buchnevich. Have we considered at any point that it wasn't that the Rangers were trying to get rid of Buchnevich because there wasn't a spot for him on the team? But what if they just went to St. Louis and said, hey, we really like Sammy Blais. Look at the guys the Rangers acquired in the offseason. Blais fits that to a T. And then those negotiations and those conversations led to, well, we like Pavel Buchnevich. And Chris says, well, I mean, he is one of my pieces that I might want to move. I might not be getting this deal done with Eichel. I need to figure this out. Can we get a 2 with Blais? Sure. And that's how that happened. We've been looking at this potentially the entire wrong way, specifically from our side, because that's where we look at everything from, is this must have been them moving Buchnevich to open up spots for Kakko and Kravtsov. Clearly not Kravtsov right now. We'll get to that. But it might have just been they actually just wanted Sammy Blais. And I don't think we've really talked about that much. I think as the season's gone on, he's played a bigger role. Secondly, Chris Drury had to keep the appearance of Eichel as a legitimate option open so that Mika Zibanejad wouldn't have all that leverage in the negotiations. We talked all off season that Mika was going to bend them over a barrel if this thing played out the way that it did, because he knew, and his agent knew, that the Rangers had no legitimate options at center if he was not there. That they would go into next season, theoretically, with Philip Hedl as the one center, the only one under contract. So Drury may have had to just leave that possibility very open for the simple fact that it had to appear to be a viable alternative. Because if Mika knew they were out, Mika's demands go up. Rightfully so, has a leverage. So, again, we may have been looking at this through the wrong set of glasses, frankly. With, again, some comments coming in here. Kevin Spacito, I'm afraid they'll pay Strome. It's clearly the only center Panarin meshes with on the team. That's a very fair point by you. And Panarin said, I miss Stromer. That probably spoke volumes. John Damiano, true on that list. Thank you for my 5. Peter, bro, not only replaceable, but there won't be any room for all to be a part of the Rangers. Absolutely. It is, guys, this is simple math. We can fall in love with prospects because we've never really had prospects before, and that's fine. But as an adult, you have to look at it and say, well, there's 12 forward spots and 6 defense spots. So I need to play, fill in the blank here. And if I don't have the space, I have to do something. They're all not going to play here. Impossible. Let's say Eichel never comes back to the player he was. Then is Strome 6.5 would we give him? Yeah, but is Eichel at 80% not better than Strome? And I'm not even trying to take a shot at Ryan Strome. I'm really not. Strome is what he is. He's a number 2 center on this team. Would he be that elsewhere? I don't know. Again, if he hits the open market, it depends how much he wants to be here. Because he's got to take less, period. They have a number for him, and they can't go over it. And I'm not convinced we haven't seen the best of him. And if we're only paying him to, keep Brett happy, I mean, what are you really accomplishing then? I've calmed down over the day. I was in bed this morning when it hit, and I reported it on the Sportsbox page, and I'm just disgusted. Disgusted because they didn't give up anything. They didn't give up anything. Don't tell me about Krebs and no, not for Jack Eichel. That's not a Jack Eichel deal. And the Rangers beat that deal if they wanted to, very, very, very easily. John says Blaze a very good player. Listen, I playing well. I'm not disputing that. All that I'm saying is, all summer we've been talking about, wow, the Rangers gave up Booch for that, when the reality was maybe that's what they wanted. Have we thought of that? Maybe it's not the narrative of this was the best deal they could get versus that's the target they wanted and they had to pay for him. And maybe they went in that conversation with some of the prospects, and then St. Louis says, well, we might be moving Tarasenko. We need a right winger. Hey, what would Booch get? You want Booch for Blay? Can we get a 2? Done deal. Kevin says, I'm convinced they were on the edge of getting Eichel, made the Booch trade, then Eichel fell through. Maybe. Look, we'll never know, right, bro? So, I mean, is it possible? Absolutely. I'm starting to think that he really wanted Sammy Blais, that Blais was a fit for what he wanted to do. John, Booch was one of the same players we already had too high of a cost. I don't disagree with that. No, top 10 players don't just become available like that. Wild, it took so long for someone to finally pull the trigger when his value would never be as low as it was at that moment. Blame Buffalo. Horribly run organization. How do you picture the weekend going? 2 tough opponents at Edmonton and Calgary. We will get to that. We're going to look back at the last 5 games in just a moment here, Tom, from Review and Preview. Those guys do wonderful work. Make sure you check them out. John says, no, not at 80%. I think, respectfully, sir, you're overrating Ryan Strome and possibly underrating Jack Eichel. Lou Guerrero, team needs to look forward to decide which moves they can make to enhance their current top 6. Strome, Georgiev, possibly Miller too. I'm becoming of the belief that Miller might not be long-term here. Peter Manassian, then turn around, they screw up with Kravtsov. He'll hold at right wing, be it first or third. Heedle's misused at third, no talent. Fair point. Chris Rice said, Rangers pay Panarin very well. He should play with whoever they put him with. You're right about that. And if you remember, Jaromir Jagr ended up playing with Brandon Dubinsky, not Scott Gomez and not Chris Drury, who were each paid $7 million a year to come to New York, but it was Brandon Dubinsky who they were playing with. Ron said they were never going to trade him to the Rangers. Maybe, maybe not. But I think if you overpay, which is fine, again, you're getting a star player. Maybe you have to pay that Ranger tax, that Ranger premium. So the Rangers, they still have $8.3 million in cap space this year, 10.6 next year, counting Fox's deal in there. And they need to sign Strome or another number 2 center, or if you think Hedl can move up. Blais, Kakko, and Julien Gauthier are also need deals. So they have 7 forwards currently under contract for next year. Panarin, Kreider, Zibby, Goodrow, Hedl, Lafreniere, and Dryden Hunt. In my opinion, I think they're going to be very, very active in the rental market this year, and I think that one of their primary targets might be Riley Smith from Vegas, especially now, because Vegas needs to start clearing up some money if they intend to get these players back in the lineup when everybody's healthy. Lou, how long should we be waiting for Capo to break loose, and not for one game or week, but for a full season? I'm going to get to my discussion on the kids a little later in the show, Lou, but it's an excellent point by you. I'm going to tell you what I think there. John, what do you think about the kids we have in the system, the top 6, 7? Again, from a forward perspective, I think we know who this top 6 is going to be. So when you start looking at a Brennan Othman and a Will Cooley and a Paginiemi, and it's like, well, where are these players going to play? And that's where you start saying to yourself, like, I don't know. Maybe they should have drafted more centers. Maybe they should have taken Braden Schneider because you had so much depth at right defense. Maybe you should have taken a center. Maybe if you had a center, which Krebs is, maybe Buffalo likes your deal more. Smith, a huge target, I agree. Kevin, do you explore Hurdle at San Jose? Sure. I think that they absolutely need to. Again, centers. Even the wingers now, like even at this problem that we have, like it's a problem, but it's not a problem. Like you can figure that out. Wingers, you can figure out. It's you have to get that middle taken care of. You have to get that middle taken care of. Well, the one thing that they did take care of was Adam Fox, the reigning Norris Trophy winner, signs a 7-year extension with a $9.5 million AAV against the cap. And when you look at that number, you say, wow, that seems like a lot. But what if I told you, in my opinion, which is frankly meaningless other than the fact that we're talking about it today as a group, this might just be a hometown discount. You're going to say, Brian, how the hell is 9.5 a hometown discount? Well, if you look at some of the deals that have been signed for defensemen since the summer, and you start to compare Adam Fox to them, it really doesn't look that bad. So let's break this down. Miro Heiskanen in Dallas, 8 years, 8.45. Seth Jones, on top of the fact that Chicago went through the nose to trade for him, then he gets an 8 years at the same 9.5 that Adam Fox is getting. So let's break this down. Over the next 7 years, Seth Jones and Adam Fox get paid the same amount of money. Zach Werenski in Columbus is getting paid 9.58, a little bit more over the next 6 years versus Adam Fox. Darnell Nurse in Edmonton, 8 by 9.25. Quinn Hughes, 6 by 7.85. Charlie McAvoy has been brought up. The same deal as Seth Jones, 8 by 9.5. Even Morgan Riley, 8 by 7.5 up in Toronto, and they're up against the cap. So, yes, you look at it and you say, wow, I mean, we were hoping it would be like 7, 7.5, 8, and maybe it was, but then the defense market just blew up. And if you're Adam Fox, you say, listen, obviously I want to be here. I want to be here for the rest of my career. I fought my way to get here. So, of course, I'm not going to go anywhere. But at the same time, I mean, I need to get paid requisite to my talent and my capabilities, and I think that 9.5. I mean, if we got him under 10, I think that was where it needed to go. Is it? I mean, you don't get hurt in this league paying for elite talent. You get hurt overpaying for mediocrity that you can't get rid of later. Example one of mediocrity. Which again, I actually think it was 7 years, not 8, by the way, Kev. But anyway, he has not played to his contract, and frankly, he may not be here long term. We'll talk about that. Comments coming in. Chris Rice said that deal looks like a steal in a few. I agree. John Damiano, it was a hometown discount. Ron Esposito, he looks good. Noah Deibler, considering the contract McAvoy got, who was very good but far inferior to Fox, in my opinion, was actually less than I thought it would be. And that's the thing. You start using, they're like buying houses, guys. You got the comps in your neighborhood. Like that's the 4-bed, 2.5 bath. But here's this one. This one's got a pool. You know, like this one's got the solar panels and whatever else. I haven't bought a house in 10 years, 6 years. Henry, it's so rare you have the chance to lock down an elite talent like Fox before he's in his prime. If anything, that deal was a steal. This was a grand slam for sure. I've said on this show a bunch of times, he wasn't going anywhere. Like he wants to be here. And I'll tell you something right now. He is the next captain. Now that he signed this deal, no question about it. It might not happen this year. It might be the opening night next year. He is the captain of the New York Rangers. Just put the C on him. That's done. I would be shocked if it wasn't for him. And I think that they were the same argument we made on maybe they're waiting to give the C to Zibanejad when he signs the deal. I'm going to pick up that argument and drop it on Adam Fox because now Adam Fox signed the deal. Give him the C. John says he hits 10.5 on the open market, maybe more. The Athletic said he's worth 14. Not 14. I mean, it's not Connor McDavid, but I'm just saying. That's what they said. John DeMino, yep. Robert Scatini, welcome back, bro. Adam Fox wins the Norris Trophy year 2 of his career. Yep. And I told you guys at the time that was going to be expensive. And it was. John Fox getting better every game is the best I've seen since Leach. Oh, he does look like Leach, doesn't he? I mean, I was younger when Leach played, but boy, you see the correlations. I mean, he's magic on the ice. I mean, he has a no trade clause for the second half of his deal. I can tell you right now, nobody cares. You want to talk about Trouba's no trade and Kreider's no trade all day long. Nobody cares that Adam Fox has a no trade. No question about it. Peter, Fox is a bargain. Imagine this. Only makes $1 million more than Trouba. Makar only $500,000 more. They have to find a way to get rid of Trouba. We're going to talk about that. Bob, welcome back, sir. The new NHL, players paid on potential, unlike in the past where they were paid for performance over time. I think there's a lot of truth to that. Chris Rice said, I said, all said and done, better career than Leach. Ooh, well, we can talk about if anybody else is ever going to wear 23 for the Rangers, although we are really putting the cart before the horse on that one. Mike Epstein, there he is. Fox still getting better, which is scary. That's not scary, brother. It's wonderful. That's a good thing. These are good things. Everything else, it's not good. These are good things. Tom's glad I'd sign up for Fox as captain. Yep. A lot of Leach comparisons. So again, you compare the deals to everybody else, and he won the Norris Trophy. So again, I am not upset with this. I don't get upset paying for elite talent. But what I think we need to come to terms with, especially now on the defensive side of things, is that Trouba is eventually going to get bought out. That's just going to happen. Again, Chris Drury did not sign Jacob Trouba. Jeff Gorton did. And then you start looking around and you look at Ryan Lindgren in the first year of his new 3-year deal. I don't know if there's one coming after that, or it won't be that expensive if it is, but he's also a defensive defenseman. Keandre Miller might not be long here. You know, we talk about all these, all the kids and the kids and the kids. Where I will agree with the prospect crowd is it's simple math. If you cycle these kids on defense and you don't give them a big second contract, you can manage your cap that way. So when you talk about a Robertson and a Braden Schneider and a Zach Jones, and you don't commit money to a guy like Keandre Miller, okay. You know, if Patrick Nemeth doesn't work out, they can trade him and they can bring Zach Jones up, who's making less than Patrick Nemeth. So you can constantly work that cap a little bit and it'll help you here and there. So. Yeah. Kevin Spacito, which one doesn't finish their current contract as a Ranger? Trouba or Kreider? Can't say both. Jacob Trouba. Easy. Easy because they're deeper on defense with their prospects. Wouldn't surprise me at all, especially on the right side. Paul Suggs, if he's better than Leach, hopefully we have one, maybe two cups with Foxy and Shesty. I mean, look, that's the core. John, I think you agree with me on that one, how they're going to work the defense out. No, I will tell you, you know who thinks that Adam Fox looks like Brian Leach? Brian Leach. I think Brian Leach might know. Lindgren, Fox forever. Lindgren's great in his own right, only getting better. Yeah, but again, I don't think you're going to pay a defensive defenseman big dollars in a cap world. So if he takes less money to stay, God bless him. But they're going to be rotating that defense. I think they're going to just keep cycling. So that's Adam Fox. So the last time we got together, it was post-game after a Rangers win in Nashville where they won 3-1, and that was 5 games in. And now we're 5 games further. The Rangers are now 6-2-2. They have 2 consecutive 5-game stretches of 3-1-1, and you would think that the world's falling in, but they're 6-2-2 in the first 10 games. You think about the last 5 games for the Rangers, and the best analogy that I can come up with is that the Rangers are like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. And you look back at the last 5 games, you had that furious third period comeback against Ottawa. You had a top to bottom dud against the Calgary Flames at home coming off that road trip. You had a dominant shutout of the Columbus Blue Jackets. You have a stolen win, frankly, against the expansion Seattle Kraken. And then you have a third period collapse with an overtime loss to Vancouver. So the last 5 games have been a variety of outcomes for your New York Rangers. But it feels like what is old is new again. And what I mean by that is, the team is struggling to score goals, but a goalie's bailing them out. You know, I just haven't seen this before. Where have we seen this before? Oh, I don't know. The entirety of Henrik Lundqvist's career. So I am not a huge believer or as far as the advanced stats go, but I do think that they are. If you look at them, it does tell you a story, right? So Corsi, for those of you who don't know, again, I'm not going to here to give you a college course, but Corsi is basically shot attempts at the opponent's net as a percentage of total shot attempts in the game, right? So if there are 75 shot attempts, not shots on goal, just shots at the net, could be blocked, could be wide, whatever. If each team has 75, then the Corsi for percentage is 50% each. Make sense? Okay. The Rangers currently stand 22nd in the league with a Corsi for percentage of 47.4%, which means that in any given game, of the total amount of shot attempts taken by each team, the Rangers take about 47% of those shots, meaning the other team takes 53%. Now, again, this is not rocket science by any stretch. It's a simple premise. If you have the puck less than your opponent, you are less likely to score a goal. The other team is more likely to score a goal because they have the puck and you do not. Your better possession teams tend to go further into the postseason, into the playoffs, because they have the puck more. Ergo, not getting scored on, maybe they can score. That, I think, is they need to possess the puck better. I mean, again, right now, to be point blank, they are just getting bailed out by Igor Shesterkin. Do you apologize for that? No. Can you be concerned? Yes. Because that just means it's not sustainable. Unless he continues to be God. And maybe he is. But the reason that the Rangers never won jack with Henrik Lundqvist is because they couldn't get the goal scoring in front of him. That is why. If you think about the 2012 team, the team that won the President's Trophy, barely got by Ottawa, which was the 8 seed, barely got by Washington, which was the 7 seed, lost to the 6 seed in New Jersey. Painful times. Couldn't score goals. Other team got 1, you were concerned. And it just feels like we're looking at that again. And I think that the difference then to now is the Rangers are far more, they have a far stronger position in their organizational strength, in that they have forwards coming, they have forwards now. So that should normalize. But the larger question, should we be concerned with the lack of scoring for Mika Zibanejad and Artemi Panarin? The short answer to that question is yes, we should be concerned. And the long answer to that question is absolutely we should be concerned. John says, I can't wait for this team to go on a hot streak. John says it's going to happen at some point. Paul Suggs, it's incredible to have the goaltending excellence we have. I made this correlation last show that we had, that going from Hank to Igor is like going from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers. Hopefully with some championships coming. We haven't really gotten there yet. Noah said Shesterkin for Vezina. Peter, they're 6-2-2. I'm not impressed with this team. And, that's the thing, is I think that, like, we're all kind of like, we're watching it and, like, we're seeing them, like, get dominated, especially 5-on-5. And we're like, well, I mean, like, but they're winning. So, like, you can't be like, well, the sky is falling. But you can kind of be like, well, I don't really feel good. And, like, we're not dominating anybody. Mike, how are you? Don't worry. This gets recorded. You can watch it whenever you want. Mike Epstein, last year very different, but near the top in scoring. Right. So the play, like you can, the players are there. They're just not scoring goals right now. So the good news is they're 6-2-2 and they have no offense to speak of. That picks up, things will be good. Alec, Rangers too unselfish. Try to make highlight plays far too often. Can we try a strategy in the power play other than Mike Ovechkin from the half court? Mika, yeah. John said those teams would have won the cup with Breadman and Fox. I mean, if those teams had, if they had Fox, just that in and of itself would have been fantastic. I remember we thought Michael Del Zotto was the next Brian Leetch. How stupid are we? Chris Rice said, this team has capability to score and just aren't. Yes. And that's where I think you can feel a little better about it, that it's not the 2012 team. It's not that group, the black and blue shirts that had to win those games blocking shots the way that, they were coached to by John Tortorella. So, I mean, that I think is a plus, from that standpoint. Robert Scatini, we need a guy who many thought would get the C on his sweater to step it up here and lead the team. A win via Zibanejad had, he would make everything all right. Yeah, he does. Again, he's another one. Like, so he signs his big deal. Prior to the game against Vancouver, he had one goal all year, and that was like that weird one that barely went in the net. So he needs to get his shit in gear, and so does Breadman. And here's the thing, this team is going nowhere if they're not getting big-time offensive contributions from their top two players, full stop. And the reason that I bring that up is, so obviously, as I mentioned, I'm in a lot of these groups. I'm in the many. I see you guys, I talk to you guys, and I love it. It's wonderful. But then there are certain people who are just frankly morons. I forget this guy's name, Mike something. It was, whatever. And he's sitting there and is talking about, the kids and the draft picks. Like, he uses the term draft picks as if, like, we should have not sold off and increased our level of talent. Whatever. But he sits there and, basically, in essence, blaming the Rangers' lack of scoring on Lafreniere and Kakko and Hedel and Lundqvist. Nils Lundqvist. And as I said, well, you realize that, your top two highest paid players have scored 2 goals combined, and Barclay Goodrow has 3. And he's like, well, yeah, we've seen what Zibanejad and Panarin can do, then starts talking about the number 1 pick and the number 2 pick. And he doesn't call them by name. He refers to them as the number 1 pick, the number 2 pick. Well, douchebag. Anyway. And I'm like, yeah, you're right, because players, when they turn 30 years old, they never start to, decline at all, right? Nah, absolutely not. and just goes off on just tangents. I mean, clearly the guy just hates the kids. The guy just, wants them to be balls to the wall. They never should have gone to rebuild. And I would say, if you look at the results of the rebuild, I think it'd be insane to think they did anything wrong. But I don't understand the people who choose to let the veterans off the hook and blame the kids. This is the first full 82 for Kakko and Lafreniere. Are you concerned about Kakko and Lafreniere? Well, I think that depends. I mean, is it ideal? No. Are they still both 20 years old? Yeah. Go back and look at Alexander Barkov's numbers through his first games, the same amount of games that Kakko's played. The numbers are very similar. And let's also be fair, by the way. This could actually work out for the Rangers, because when Kakko goes for a deal at the end of this season, if he doesn't break out, which we're all hoping that he does, no question, but if he doesn't break out, what's he really going to ask for in a contract, realistically? So when we talk about the cap and everything else, wouldn't it really kind of, and I hate the way we have to think like this, that's what the salary cap does. It might just work out for them if they can get him cheaper, because he hasn't broken out yet. He didn't have a real coach for his first 2 years. COVID, missed half of both those years. So, the sky is not falling for me. Everybody, again, we watch the NFL. These kids come in from college and they play. We've seen McDavid. And look, Lafreniere is not Connor McDavid. But you can't expect them to just come in and just start scoring goals upon goals upon goals. The talent is there. Everyone sees it. They will get there. And I might remind you, in both of those cases, the Rangers made the only pick. The only pick that was correct. There was no thought there. This is not a case where the Rangers, oh my God, they made the wrong pick. Well, no, they didn't make the wrong pick. They made the only pick. Let's see. Comments. John, there is no way this team is not going to score. You would think that, right? Being logical. Mika's been Kevin Spacito. Mika's been a second half player the last few superstar years. Not sure what's up with Panarin, though. Henry, it's concerning that they haven't started scoring yet, but I think eventually they start to get a rhythm. Bob, I'm not liking Panarin's comfort level right now with his time in line mates as a dominant scorer. Well, he has his chosen center, right? Brett did look good last game. John Damiano remembers Mike Delzato. So does Lisa Ann. Kevin, they would have won a cup if they chose Strawman over Boy. You can't convince me otherwise. Well, also, they might have won a Stanley Cup if Matt Zuccarello didn't get that puck to the head in the playoffs. They weren't the same after that. Jonathan, I love talking to people that know Rangers hockey. They're hard to find out there. Well, I love talking to you, brother. And I appreciate you interacting with the show. Love your comments. Love going back and forth. I can't tell you how much fun this is for me. These hours, we've been live for about 45 minutes. These hours fly. They really do. And I love talking hockey with you guys. So I'm glad you're enjoying it as well. I know you mentioned you love Barclay Goodrow. I will reserve judgment on the second half of that contract. Right now, it's working out okay. Robert Scatini, they will, though. Panarin and Z, that is. They'll be fine. Kakko, too. When that happens, this team's going to be dangerous. And again, I am not, the sky is not falling for me with Kakko. I mean, again, did I personally think he'd be better at this point? Maybe. But I think that, again, the David Quinn years might still, the kids. He's 20. What were you doing when you were 20? No, I've never seen a prospect get as much BS, hate as laugh. He's a generational talent. Fans are way too impatient. Fans are definitely way too impatient. John, crazy the crap you put on KK and Laffy. Watch 2 to 3 years. Things will break out. Gets 4.5 to 6. Mike Epstein with a pretty interesting point. Kids need to be led by example, and the vets need to perform. And I talked to this guy, Mike whatever, something with an M, Moron, Mike Moron, in this Rangers group. Forget which one. I'm in 100. All the guy wants to do is pile in the kids and Panarin and Zibanejad. Nonsensical, idiot take on his part. Mike Freese, kids need more playing time, playing on consistent lines. Reeves, I'm hearing, could be back sooner than later. Colin Stevenson on Twitter said Reeves look good, so we could see him in the lineup soon. Actually, Lafreniere was on the fourth line in practice, and that caught some raised eyebrows, to say the least. Noah, Crosby, Ovechkin, McDavid give fans unrealistic expectations of top rookies. Not the NFL. Very few rookies start immediately, and most who do are on second best, probably third. And might I add, Noah, that these elite talents that get drafted usually go to teams who stink and have no other talent around them. Frankly, Tim Stützle in Ottawa, the only guy he's really playing with is Brady Tkachuk, was another high pick, and they got some numbers, but again, they're thrown into those roles. They have to play top 6 minutes because that's who they are. There's nobody else there. The Rangers were a qualifying round team when they ended up with Lexi Lafreniere. Everyone wants instant gratification. Logically, can't wait till it all comes together. James, casually late. What I miss? Ridiculous amounts of Rangers knowledge. Watch the replay. Tell me what you think. I'm sure we'll talk after. Peter, I'm so with you there. I gave it so much thought where it just might work out for the better with the new deals for the kids. They're not blowing you away. Real for both will get there, and they are so young. And I agree with that. Again, I think Kakko more so than Lafreniere. Kakko will have less leverage. Lafreniere is going to say, bitch, I was the number one pick in the draft. I need a contract. And he's going to get it. But Kakko, I mean, maybe they can, again, if you bridge Kakko, things work out a lot better if these kids don't get the deals that we thought they were going to get, right? So that could be a good thing cap-wise in a flat cap era. People who say they don't know the game. Too many of them, Bub. Way too many of them. Warren, who I know I talked to on Twitter. Welcome, Max. Sir, regarding Panarin and Zibanejad, can it be they're having difficulty adjusting to the north-south system to Gallant versus east to west? I mean, I don't think you're wrong about that, but everything they say about Gallant is that like he's more hands-off, kind of let their skill show through. So, if they were forcing the issue with Quinn, you would think they would just do their thing now. And maybe the power play is starting to come around a little bit. So, we'll see where that goes. And I was there when Kakko hit the post against Dallas. I mean, that changed everything if he hits that one. But he's missed some time, too. So, again, long story short, should we be concerned about these two? I mean, I would be concerned because you just made a very long-term commitment to Mika Zibanejad, and you're in a long-term commitment to Artemi Panarin, and they were brought here to lead and score goals. They are not doing that. So when they take on Edmonton tomorrow night, and they talk about, McDavid and Draisaitl and Zibby and Panarin. Well, I need to see some Zibby and Panarin tomorrow night. Do something. Earn your paycheck. James, we don't need the young talent to kill. We need the Foxes, Trubas, Mikas, Kreiders, and Panarins to light it up. We don't need the youngins to demand huge contracts we can't afford. And that's true. That is very true. So everybody's like, oh, why isn't Lafreniere scoring 75 goals a year? Oh, I don't know. Because he's 20. This is his first year, actually full year in the league with people watching him. Breaks. I agree with the Stützle. Oh, I missed one. I'll get back to you, Mike. I agree with the Stützle example. Probably liked him more than Byfield. I was a big Byfield guy. So I don't. Byfield's got that rare size combo with speed and everything else that he does. Kid's going to be an absolute star in LA. Not a shot against Tim Stützle at all. Very good player. I was Byfield ahead. In my opinion, teams not using their speed. I know it's early. It is early. And I think that we need to, again, I just think everybody has these expectations of visions of grandeur that it has to happen. It has to happen now. Again, I'm the first person to tell you that I thought that this was mathematically their best chance to win the Stanley Cup simply because of the way the salary cap was. That does not mean A, that I'm right, or B, that they can't be better next year and the year after if they're smart with the cap. John, Gallant knows his team has played like crap, so has a good record. He knows they'll get a lot better. He won't kill them for the start. Again, I will tell you, too, if they're 2-6-2, we feel differently. The results are the results. And thank God that we have Igor Shesterkin on this team because he has been absolutely ridiculous to start the year. And the reason that they are 6-2-2, you can put specifically at his feet, period. He has been phenomenal. Excellent point by Kevin Esposito. Hasn't even played 82 games yet. It's so true. Everybody's just like, I don't know. They want it and they want it now. That's just, what do we want? Stanley Cups. When do we want them now? There you go. I got my 94 shirt on anyway. Shits and giggles. But I got the Pittsburgh Flyers game on here, and the Flyers are losing. I'm not going to necessarily cry about that. Jerk-offs. Anyway, the Vitali Kravtsov story continues to be something to keep your eye on. So he was loaned to Traktor Chelyabinsk in the KHL. Larry Brooks notes there is a possible path to reconciliation. Now, listen, that would make me very happy because I think he's a very talented kid. I think he might not be being guided the right way. I think there were promises made to him by people that are no longer in the organization about his playing time, how quickly he would get here. Maybe he believed them. I get that. Quote from Kravtsov. This is a prepared quote, by the way. He was through the Rangers. I want to thank the Rangers for working with me and appreciate the open and honest conversations we have had during this process. While this has been a challenging time for me personally, I believe having the opportunity to return to Traktor and work on my game is the best thing for me right now. My main focus is getting better every day to continue towards my goal of playing hockey for the New York Rangers. Okay. Cool. Is that public relations? Yeah, maybe. But this is the best thing that both sides can do. He goes back where he's comfortable. Maybe he just hates the city of Hartford. I mean, whatever. So he's back home in Russia playing for Traktor where he's very comfortable. He's loaned there through the end of their season, which coincides with the end of the Rangers season. And, he's there. He can raise his value. Come back here. Get traded somewhere else. Either way, none of that's a negative, no matter what happens. So, all in, I don't think that you can be overly. I mean, would you want him here? Yeah. Would he be here right now on the Rangers? Yeah, I think they would have called him up by now, especially when Kakko went down. He would have got a shot. But look, again, they're young kids, and that's. Did he handle it right? No, I can't say that he did. Not at all. So, again, I think that it's okay. Not perfect. But I think that something will happen there. I think he might... Look, again, take him at his word. He wants to come back and play. Let him do his thing. I'll come back and play. We'll see where things go. This is better than him rotting somewhere. No, I live for the Flyers losing it. I do also find an insane amount of enjoyment in that. John said the outcome with Kravtsov was the best thing that was possible. Again, not ideal by any stretch, John. I think we agree on that, but I think given where we are, it could be a lot worse. Matt DeRosa, I know you think we can always sign wingers, which you can't. Wallstrom is a beast. I didn't want Wallstrom myself. Now, I thought there was a shot that could go get a Philip Zadina. Didn't happen because he was falling down the draft that year because Barrett Hayton went high for some reason. The Rangers felt that Kravtsov was the second best scorer in the draft behind Svechnikov. So, for me, and this is my view, I'm not saying I'm right, but I want to go for home runs with my draft picks. I don't want to draft guys like Elias Anderson who have a ceiling of middle six. I can get middle six players. I can't get elite talent. We tried with Jack Eichel, and we got blocked. Because the other team, they want to trade him here. They can go fuck themselves. Sorry, PG. Not really. Whatever. You agree. Trust me. You were thinking it. I wasn't a Wallstrom person. I don't mind them going Kravtsov. If they thought the Kravtsov was not... If Kravtsov busts, I don't care. Because he had the chance to be a star. Still does. I would say that those odds are less, frankly. But the talent's still there. So give me boom or bust. I don't need average. I can go get guys. It's not hard to do. John, Drury made the huge move because he could have been the Custio B disaster. At least now there's a chance. And I will tell you, the situation that we have right now, you can pretty much blame on Chris Drury. Point blank. I mean, he had problems with Kravtsov when he was in Hartford. Over the offseason, somebody probably told him, we're going to trade you somewhere, and then that never materialized. So you keep telling the kid he's going to play, he's not going to play, he's getting traded, not getting traded. So you're yo-yoing him. Maybe he just feels like he doesn't want to put up with the BS. And maybe it's a wake-up call for Chris Drury saying, hey, maybe I'm an asshole. Maybe I should have handled this a little bit differently than I did. Who knows? Maybe egos can get put aside. The fact that Larry Brooks says never say never, that was a good thing. It was a very, very good thing. I am not absolving Kravtsov for his part in this. He's also just a kid. Probably getting bad advice from an agent. Sometimes we see them on TV. Maybe we assume that they're older and more mature than they are because they're playing pro hockey. All these kids are younger than I am. I'm 37, so Flyers still losing. It's good. John, we were on the verge of getting killed on that deal. What you're saying is 100% spot on. Yeah, I mean, it's the best that could happen at the time. James, Tony D 2.0, lost for nothing, will be a star on another team. Well, until Kravtsov punches somebody in the face, I will say that he's not Tony DeAngelo 2.0. Although I will say I am not surprised that Tony DeAngelo is somewhere else playing well. It's never about his play. Everything else but. Kravtsov is good, big potential. It was a good pick. I agree. I'm good with that. Noah says, good point on the boomer bust. I feel the same way with my team in a first rounder since Britney Spears was still the talk of the world. But Noah is a Penguins fan, so anyways, we're watching it right now. So he knows what I'm talking about. Peter said, that would make me very happy as well. Kravs is key for the team's top three lines to click. It defeats the whole purpose of getting rid of Buchnevich. See, that's the thing, though, Peter. And I don't know if I'm not sure if you were here at the top of the show, but I talked about that. Like, maybe it wasn't about getting rid of Buchnevich. Maybe it was about getting Sammy Blais. And maybe we've just been looking at it the entire ass backwards way because we thought it was about getting rid of him. Maybe they just wanted Sammy Blais. So, John says, not surprised he's doing well in Carolina. No, kid's always been talented. That was never that was never his problem in the league at all. It was just because, Now, Robert says, can I just say JT Miller? Should have kept JT Miller. Well, in my opinion, I don't have Flyers scored a goal. I don't think JT Miller would have blossomed in New York. I think that the trade to Tampa was a wake-up call, part one, and then he got another wake-up call in part two. The reason that I think I'm not good for the kid, right? But he was also traded from Tampa. So it wasn't as if he went somewhere and it didn't work out, right? I mean, it worked out. So, look, there's a lot of things you look back on the McDonough trade and you wish you would have done differently. Look, Libor Hayek's still on this team for today. We'll see where he is tomorrow. Nemestikov did not work out, clearly. Brett Houghton didn't work out, clearly. But you did get Nils Lundqvist out of it. So, again, is it a total loss? No. Could you have gotten more? Yes. We'll look back on it and say, well, shit, we should have got more. And you're not wrong. They got what they thought was best at the time. At the end of the day, happy that McDonough's got 2 Stanley Cups. I think McDonough here would have been a total disaster of a contract. So again, I'm not mad. I'm not mad at anything. It's one of those things where it's addition by subtraction because I think that they would have paid McDonough and that would have significantly hamstrung them moving forward. So again, it is what it is. John says 90% about Blais. I'm starting to believe that. I didn't think that at all at the time. I thought this was a dump space that you're not going to keep the guy because you're going to do something else. They might have just wanted Sammy Blais, and I think we've been totally wrong about that from the jump. Last but not least, former Ranger Vitali Kravtsov, Marian Gaborik, that's the same amount of letters, right? Officially announced his retirement. Played 4 years as a New York Ranger. 2 of those years he scored 40 plus. He did win the Stanley Cup with LA. That was against the New York Rangers in 2014. Happy trails to you. I loved him in New York. I was upset to see him go. The trade netted them Derek Brassard, Derek Dorsett, and somebody else I can't think of right now. Who the hell was the other part of that deal? Who was that? There's a third piece I can't think of. John Moore. That's right. No, he sucked. There it is. Thank you, Kevin. I was just looking it up. I'm like, who the hell was that third guy? Yeah, John Moore, the defenseman. Mike Epstein, most ex-Rangers kill when we play them. Yeah, that tends to happen. Can't afford Blais at this pace. Well, arbitration eligible, so they'll figure it out. Kevin said, if they paid McDonough, they don't trade for and pay Trouba. Who would you rather have right now in their current contract? Well, probably McDonough, but I don't. McDonough wasn't why. They went into rebuild, so I would tell you that I still think they trade McDonough regardless. I don't think he would have wanted to hang around for a rebuild. Only Hank did. And Kreider, I guess, whatever. I think he would have wanted to go. John, I don't know how it happened for the Rangers organization to learn how to draft. We went a good 10 years without drafting, got us nothing after 94. That's what killed us for so long. That's true. I mean, and John, to that point, and if you watch the show, I've said this, is that's why the Kakko pick and the Lafreniere pick were so important, because they couldn't screw them up. If Kakko busts, I'm not mad. You could be like, why are you mad? Well, because everybody in America and the world would have picked Kaapo Kakko at 2. There was no questions. You couldn't get it wrong. If that's wrong, everybody's wrong. And if everybody's wrong, it ain't just you. For Lafreniere, everybody said Lafreniere. You can't get that wrong. It's when you allow these scouts to start talking about who they might like that they make mistakes to take Elias Anderson. John said Lay loves it here. First show I'm watching. Well, John, welcome. Welcome to BlueTruth. Like the page. We appreciate it. Ultimately, Gaborik yields Zibanejad. So that's interesting. That is kind of funny if you think about it, right? Yeah, it's true. I'll the link there. Only good thing about Tampa is that McDonough was a beast against the Isles. Yes, they didn't win. Do I have hold on. It's here somewhere. Yes, we're gonna. All right, guys, let's just piss on the Islanders' grave for just a quick 30 seconds here. Thank you to Ryan McDonough for creating this scenario where the New York Islanders lose and all 12 of their fans get upset. Matt Martin with his head down, and poor Matt Barzal, crap on the ice. And then you think about all those, and I do mean all those, I mean like the few Islander fans so upset at Borelli's eating bad food when their team lost. And of course, the king himself, Frankie Borelli, very upset. I want to personally thank Ryan McDonough for making that a reality, because God forbid that team actually won. Oh God. And a good point by Alex. Cherepanov could have been legit. You'll never know, but he could have been legit. Chernesky also. But they made the Lee Farler does, and you can sit there and we always piss on the Islanders. That is our God-given right as Ranger fans. Islanders roster looking great. I'm not sure if you are meaning that sarcastically, because they stink. They're smoke and mirrors. I've always believed that. Always believed that. Smoke and mirrors. Smoke and mirrors. Mike Faris, love McDonough, would have gotten worn down here. And that's true. We talked about, I was very concerned about his next contract in New York, the same way I was about Ryan Callahan. And I think I was proven right about Ryan Callahan, because he didn't even play that second contract out in Tampa Bay. Wanted more money. It's not fair. Tampa Bay has no state tax, but So Islanders stink. The Islanders stink. Top 6 by position moving forward, and then third line. Well, I mean, obviously your centers are Zibby and Strome. Your wingers would be on, Panarin and should be Lafreniere on the left side. It would be Kreider and Kakko on the right, which would make the third line Hedel, Goodrow, and Sammy Blais. Not ideal. It depends where they stick Kreider. If they put Kreider on the third line, Goodrow, again, not having Kravtsov hurts. I hate the Islanders as much as you, but they're for real. I don't think they are. I tell you, listen, it's not. I get this a lot from people I know that like the Islanders. This is not me hating the New York Islanders. This is me looking at their roster and just not being impressed by it. They don't score enough goals. I like Ilya Sorokin. Think he's great. Think he's very good. Adam Pellick's all right. Barzal's real good. Don't like any of the other forwards a little bit. Maybe Anders Lee. Yeah. I still say they missed the playoffs. I'll die on that sword. Not because they're the New York Islanders, but because I think they're going to miss the playoffs. Gaborik's such a beast in his prime. I had a Gaborik jersey. I loved him. Loved him in New York. Well, guys, going a little bit over the hour, but that's okay. Not up against the clock. I want to thank you all for your participation in tonight's show. If you haven't yet, and I know many of you have, you can give us a like there. I will tell you that it definitely helps if you follow the Facebook algorithm and the nonsense that they do. The more likes and engagement these posts have, the more that the Facebook system, technology, whatever, the more it spreads it out there. So the more people will find us talking Rangers hockey and maybe join the show the same way that John did this week. So I appreciate that. I love seeing a lot of the same names. I love talking Rangers with you guys, and I really appreciate the time that you take to talk Rangers with me. Looking at the schedule, now I'm going to the Florida game on Monday. Keep an eye out on the BlueTruth page as far as when the next game is. We might end up doing a post game on Thursday the 18th, which is 2 weeks from today. Give them another chance to play, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It actually will be 7 more games. We'll see where things go, but we'll see how things are. Might do a little post game against the Toronto thing. I enjoyed doing that with you guys after Nashville, so that was kind of fun. And again, thank you very much for your comments. Finish up out here. Peter said, that's your third line. I trade Hedel, who I like, and that's not a good fit. Well, it depends if they sign Strome. They may always. He may be your number. Peter, realistically, I mean, cap-wise, Hedel could be the 2 center next year. They would love him to be the 2 center. Like that's what they want. He just hasn't grabbed that brass ring, and he's only 22. We just forget he's only 22 because it feels like he's been here for 5 years. Peter, good show as always. Pleasure, brother. I love talking Rangers with you guys. This hour and 7 minutes that we've gone so far has just flown right by. It always does. I'm always concerned that I'm not prepared enough with enough stuff to talk about, but you guys keep it going. And a lot of this is you guys interacting with me, so thank you for that. Bob, always fun Thursday nights with you. Thank you, sir. Thanks for the conversation. John, give us a like. We'll keep doing it. Noah, good show. John, big weekend. It will tell us a lot. I agree. Crazy idea. Insert Blais into Buchnevich's spot with Kravtsov and Zibanejad. I wouldn't be opposed to that. I wouldn't be opposed to that at all. I think the right wings right now, like you're just not really sure what you got because Kravtsov's not there. Not that Kravtsov's necessarily like an immediate star, but he does. I mean, that was depth at that spot. We all thought that when they moved out Buchnevich, it was Kakko and Kravtsov, period. We all thought that, right? Henry and Dichter, great show as always. Let's go Rangers. Thank you, brother. Review and preview. Love those guys. Be sure you check them out. Mike Freese, see you Monday night. Peter, James, Hedel's a stud. I know you love him. And John says they're gambling on Hedel. Listen, Philip Hedel takes that quantum leap. I'm here for it because that makes everything a ton easier next year. If you can move Hedel to 2 center and not have to pay Ryan Strome, that's a good thing because Hedel's on a good contract next year. Mike's going to the Florida game, 221-01. So I'll be in 115. I'll see if I wave at you. Message me. We'll say hi. I'll be there with my buddy Scott. Owen, thanks. I'll see you next week. Thank you, brother. He's only 22. We forget how young these kids are because they've been playing for so long. It's a good problem to have. So thank you guys for your time tonight. We'll catch you in a couple weeks. But again, make sure you're watching the BlueTruth page. I always post there at least a day before, let you know that we're going to be talking some Rangers hockey. And let's hope that we close out Western Canada with a couple of wins. If I had to guess, I think that Igor plays against Edmonton, and I think that Georgiev gets the start against Calgary, which then leaves Igor to come back against Florida, which is going to be a very, very tough game. Florida is legit as they come, and I am not surprised at all that they are this good. We'll see you soon. Let's go Rangers.